Think back to your favorite toy growing up. Maybe it was a stuffed animal or doll you took everywhere with you. Now imagine that toy coming to life, not just in your imagination, but actually reacting, responding, and needing you to keep it happy. This is the concept behind a living toy. These toys and games are designed to mimic life, to respond to touch, sound, and sometimes even moods. They're interactive, unpredictable, and they feel alive. To understand where these toys began, we can look back at Astro Boy. Astro Boy was created by Osamu Tezuka, who was a medical student who wanted to parody humanity's complex relationship with technology. In the story, Astro Boy was built by a grieving scientist who lost his son in a car accident. For many Japanese families who had lost loved ones during World War II, this character resonated deeply. Astro Boy was a nurturing figure, Japan's robot son, and he paved the way for seeing robots as potential companions. This early vision of robots as caregivers and friends rather than machines laid out the groundwork for Japan's and eventually the whole world's love for robotic pets and toys. In the 90s, we saw the birth of digital pets, toys that didn't have a physical body but were full of personality and demands. Tamagotchis were tiny egg-shaped devices where you can hatch, feed, and care for a digital pet. It would beep at you if it was hungry or dirty, and if you didn't care for it, it didn't survive. Tamagotchis created a bond between child and toy by simulating life, growth, and even death. Then came Aibo, Sony's robotic dog. Aibo took things a step further by giving digital pets a physical form. Suddenly, kids and adults could interact with a living pet that wagged, barked, and roamed around, making it feel more like a real companion. So what really makes a toy feel alive? Well, there's several key elements, and they don't all apply to each toy. For one, there's realistic animation and movements. Smooth, natural movement is a huge part of it. Unlike stiff mechanical toys, living toys use fluid, continuous motions that mimic real animals. This minimizes the uncanny valley effect, that uncomfortable feeling we get when something looks almost alive, but not quite. Another critical factor is autonomy. Living toys need to move or act on their own. When a toy only reacts when you push a button, it feels like a machine. But when a toy or game reacts on its own, like when Furbies start talking without prompting, it feels a little magical. Even small random actions can make a toy feel more alive. Think of the simple Mexican jumping bean. It moves unpredictably, making it feel almost as if it has a mind of its own. Some toys like Tamagotchi or Furby simulate life stages, growth, aging, and even loss. Once a Tamagotchi dies, it's gone. This irreversibility makes the experience feel more real. There is no reset button in real life, and for these toys, the same rule applies, unless you reset the whole thing.
Actually, go and save its life at this point. There's nothing you can do. You cannot push any of the buttons. The Tamagotchi is a goner. But it will leave you an egg so that you can start over.
But can these robot companions go too far? What happens in a future where we start to implement artificial intelligence to these companions? For now, kids learn responsibility through caretaking required by these toys. There's real developmental value in this. They also experience attachment, empathy, and even in some cases the concept of loss. In the early 2000s, digital pets began blending with online virtual worlds. Toys like Webkins allowed children to own a physical pet that also existed in an online world. They could feed, play, and shop for their pet in a virtual environment. These virtual worlds were more than games, they were economies. Kids could earn virtual currency to buy clothes, furniture, and accessories, which created a social hierarchy based on ownership. The premium membership model added real-world economics into play, creating both status and financial pressure for parents. For older kids, the appeal shifts from pets to social interactions as they start to use these virtual spaces to chat and express creativity with avatars. As we continue to look ahead, the boundaries between real and artificial life keep blurring. AI-driven pets in games are becoming increasingly sophisticated. New robots can recognize faces, respond to emotions, and learn from interactions in ways that mimic real life companionship. So, what does that mean for us? Living toys are more than just games. They're shaping how we interact with technology and how we experience companionship in an increasingly digital world. They invite us to question what it means to be alive and where we draw the line between real and artificial.